It seems like you've got quite a lot in common with Kemi Badenoch. Can't you just get on? We spend a lot of time talking about Labour, but what about the right? The Conservatives are rebuilding.
Would you call yourself a right-wing populist?
Why would I call myself that?
Nigel Farage resurgent with reform, facing his own challenge from the right.
A vote for Restore is a vote for anyone but reform.
Can the right win again? Will it unite? Or are we looking at one of those historic moments where the old right transforms into something completely new?
So we're at the ARC conference, the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship. An import from America. It's been called the anti-woke Davos. And this is where lots of people from the right come together. It's very sleek, feels almost like a kind of right-wing afterlife. But look, the right are soul-searching right now, and this is where they're coming together.
So you're basically saying the right in the UK needs to come together?
Sooner or later, yes. I'm not against competition, but at some point in time, you've got to work together for the best outcome.
So we're just waiting to talk to Kemi Badenoch. She's going to sit down with us for a few minutes, and we're going to ask her about the state of British conservatism, because look, the rise of reform could be existential for the Tory party. The big challenge that you have, that your predecessors didn't, is that it's not just left fighting right anymore, it's right fighting each other. Nigel Farage.
Well, I don't think it's about left or right. I think it's about right or wrong. And it's about being able to unite the country rather than uniting the right. That's the way to go.
But there's a lot that does unite you and Nigel Farage, right? You know, that when you talk about your green policies, when you talk about immigration, on a lot of the ideas, you're in a similar place.
Talking and getting things done are not the same thing. How do you work with someone who changes their position every day?
Would you rather see, Andy Burnham, Labour, potentially Andy Burnham, Labour in power than having a deal with Nigel Farage that could mean the right in power?
Well, it looks like Andy Burnham is already in power. What I want to see is Conservatives in power. Nigel Farage will be just as bad or even worse than Labour. The mistake that has happened with so many prime ministers, not just Keir Starmer, is just thinking about winning elections rather than knowing how you're going to get things done. Being honest with people about tough decisions.
Do you accept, that reform's rise could be existential for your party?
Well, what I saw last week was us defeating Reform in Aberdeen South. They didn't win anything in Makerfield, and we beat them in another constituency, Arbroath, as well. So let's see what happens when people have to make a choice.
Attlee, Churchill, Kinnock, Thatcher, Blair, Major, Corbyn, Johnson. You've got to remember that for more than a century, it has been about two parties, but it is not as simple as red and blue anymore. This is about the battle for conservative ideas, but really there is so much that they have in common. In many ways, it's actually just about the vehicle for those conservative values and who can take that into the next election.
And they all know their neighbours' Christian names.
And someone who many think is a vehicle for the right is this man.
We're trying to speak to Nigel Farage. He's on the phone, as you can see. Not answering any questions at the moment, but we'll keep trying.
Thanks so much.
Nigel, do you think you're spending too much time focusing on Kemi Badenoch and not the Labour Party? So we tried to get some questions to Nigel Farage, but he's just got in this car. Didn't want to answer any of our questions. We wanted to ask him about whether he's spending too much time fighting Kemi Badenoch, and actually, could these two parties come together? Have they got more in common than they have which divides them? He didn't want to answer our questions.
We're a long way from this. We put low in the middle here, all smiles with Nigel Farage's fresh Reform MPs. Now leading his own party, Restore, he told me he's not at the ARC conference because it's a place for liberal conservatism, not restoration.
What is it that is making people vote Restore, not Reform, do you think?
I think what you've got in Restore is just a very effective online campaign to suggest that they are sort of purer. They're more, they're more of the right-wing alternative than Reform, which is A, not true, and B, it is a total blind alley, because if you want change, you've got to deliver it through a party that can actually win.
You can't win outright, the Conservatives can't win outright, you need each other, according to many of the polls.
Well, we're on the way, aren't we? I mean, we've come from nowhere to a dominant position in the polls in just 2 years.
But you haven't got enough to win a general election right now.
Well, let's see what happens. We need a general election. That tends to change things and it concentrates minds. I understand there is a residual support across the country for the Conservative Party, but it's not nearly enough to win anything like a majority of seats. They're looking like winning in double-digit numbers of seats at the moment. So, no, the only
just want Aberdeen.
Yes, they won one seat, which is well done them, and they'll hold on to some seats in the southeast. But there's only one party on the right that can win across the country. in every part of our United Kingdom, and that is reform.
I think you're probably the only Labour politician here, do you think?
It's not an unusual experience for me.
Do you think we'll see the right uniting in some form? Is that something you think should
happen?
happen?
This is the story of the time. The division in politics now is not between left and right, sorry to dispute, it's between sovereigntists and globalists. And the right are miles away from resolving that one.
And where are you on that?
I'm a total sovereigntist.
And where's the Labour Party?
Getting there.
There's a notable effort among parts of the British right to import ideas, tactics from the American right. There's definitely resistance to that, but it is something that's being debated here. And I've just seen Sebastian Gorka, a man who's worked closely in the White House with Donald Trump, so we're going to ask him about that.
It's such an exciting time to be alive, and President Trump is showing the way.
A lot of people would say he's quite divisive.
Only if you hate your own country and hate your civilization.
I'm NASA astronaut Victor Glover, and you're Artemis II pilot.
Are you in the US kind of happy with the direction that Donald Trump's going in at the moment?
You know, I am in the military, and I work for NASA. It's my job to carry out the vision that our leadership sets. And no human in that job is going to be perfect, but he is the commander-in-chief. He's the boss.
And on, particular characters, do you know who I mean by Nigel Farage?
I do not know.
Nigel Farage is a brilliant political communicator, but he's a populist. What Nigel Farage does is feed off discontent.
So do you think Kemi Badenoch needs to move to the centre ground? Is that where elections are won?
I think elections are won on what used to be called the common ground, not the centre ground, because, as we both know, the centre ground can move and people can become more concerned, for example, about the NHS. If it's under pressure, is that left-wing? I think it's just a response to reality. People are more concerned at the moment, both about government waste and about national defence. And in both of those areas, I think Kemi is where the public is.
So do we think a pact between Reform and the Tories is inevitable?
Absolutely not.
So they say no deal for now, but look, we are years probably out from a general election. There are plenty of people here who behind the scenes think a deal is inevitable. That could be anything from a backroom pact to a full-on coalition. As these parties, these leaders, get closer to the levers of power, could they learn how to work together?